Children encounter Auschwitz created by Adolf Hitler. In the Auschwitz concentration camp, there were nearly 232,000 children and young people up to the age of 18 deported to the camp, not including the children born within. As many as 1.2 million children encountered horrible things at the Auschwitz concentration camp from the early 1942 until late 1944. Children died of starvation, lack of food, shelter, and exposure to pesticides. The Germans had no care for these lives they were taking away. These children had to go through pain and anguish, not knowing if they might die the next day. Some survivors had health issues and mental and physical problems that stayed with them for their entire lives. These children made it through the most terrible times and still told us the stories of their survival. They had more humanity and faith in themselves, and they cherished every day of their lives. Adolf Hitler created Auschwitz to originally serve as a detention center for political prisoners in the early 1942. However, it evolved into camps where Jewish people and enemies of the Nazi state were exterminated. Often, gas chambers were used as slave labor. Auschwitz was located near the industrial town of Owiecim in southern Poland. They had no actual amount of children they knew had died in Auschwitz concentration camp, but an estimate is about 1.1 million children killed. At the end of the war, only about a few thousand children had survived. Children of Auschwitz were often killed upon arrival, and children born in the camps were generally killed on spot, especially if the child was Jewish. The children encountered Auschwitz with fear. They didn't have their mothers and fathers to keep them safe. As the war ended, the children who survived had no family to protect them or have food for them. They had to defend for themselves, which was hard since some children were sick, dying, and all alone. At Auschwitz, Dr. Hilde Oberhauser killed children with oil and EpiPen injections. She removed limbs and vital organs and also rubbed ground glass and sawdust into wounds. Dr. Joseph Mengele, another scientist, had mostly experimented on twins and would inject children with various substances, dripping chemicals into the eyes in an attempt to change the eye color. He also carried out twins transfusions, stitched twins together, and castrated twins. Also, many children had their limbs and organs removed without any surgical anesthetic. Children that were not even born yet had the effects of some of the chemicals the scientists injected their parents with, which was some problems like mental problems, stubs as arms, and born without limbs. At the end of the war, in order to cut expenses and save gas, led to placing living children directly in an open burning pit. This event is important to our history because it was not an accident. It occurred because individuals, organizations, and governments made choices that not only allowed discrimination, but also allowed prejudgment, hatred, and eventually mass murder to occur. Also, it shows just how hateful the world can be for no reason other than what you look like and what your religion is. For the survivors of Auschwitz, the idea of rebuilding their lives was daunting. Jewish survivors feared to return to their former homes because of the hatred of Jews that continued in part of Europe and the suffering they had felt. Survivors are thankful for being alive, but the memory of Auschwitz will always stay with them.